Let's have a look at deadlifts and some of the things that you can do to set yourself up to make this lift one of your strongest overall. We're also going to have a look at some of the common mistakes that people often make in this lift that stop them from progressing further, and a few variations you can use to help complement your deadlift to again get stronger each and every time. First up, let's have a look at some of the common mistakes that people make with this lift. Number one is squatting the deadlift. You'll see this happen when you set up with your knees too far forward over the top of the bar and your shoulders sitting back. This causes you to put a lot of excess strain on the low back and leads to an ugly deadlift where the bar path is not up and down in a straight line, more so bouncing off the knees. Number two would be the opposite of this. Setting up with your shoulders too far over the top of the bar leads you to pull excessively through your low back without enough engagement in the glutes and hamstrings to pull through this movement efficiently. Number three is squatting the eccentric or the lowering portion of the deadlift. You might get the deadlift off the floor just fine with clean form, but on the way back down, if your knees deviate forwards before the bar goes down past them, you'll create an inefficient bar path and again load up excessive tension in the low back instead of keeping it in the glutes and hamstrings. Number four is not having enough upper back or mid back tension throughout the pull. Once again, this leads to excessive strain on the low back and doesn't place enough into the glutes and hamstrings to make this an efficient movement. Number five would be trying to maintain an ideal or complete neutral spine the entire way through the lift. There will come a point where your strength progresses to a point where you will find some upper back rounding. That's natural. Backs aren't made of glass, they are designed to bend. As long as your lumbar spine is not being pulled forward and that curve is not being increased throughout the duration of the lift, you should be absolutely fine. As long as you can lock your bracing in one place and hold your spine in the same position throughout the lift, you're going to be okay with this lift with some rounding in the back. Here's a couple things you can look at doing in order to make sure that you set yourself up for the deadlift and clean up that form to get the most out of this lift. It all starts with your setup. Once you have the bar loaded, ready to go, approach the bar and put your feet underneath it so that your midfoot is right underneath the bar. If you've got shoes on, your shoelaces should be right underneath the bar and your shins about an inch away. You can play around with the width of your stance if you want to go a little bit more narrow. Around hip width is ideal for most people. Others prefer to go a bit wider and some even prefer the sumo stance. As you get ready to grab hold of the bar, think of doing a perfect hinge or Romanian deadlift into position. You want to keep your arms hanging down long and your shoulders pulling down away from the ears. Drive your hips back until you're feeling your hamstrings and glutes stretching, and when you can't get down any closer to the bar by hinging, bend your knees until your shins make contact with the bar. Once you can grab hold of the bar, you want to put a lot of tension on it or take the slack out of the bar. Do this by turning your hands outwards and trying to squash your armpits in tight against your sides. We're not trying to pull the shoulder blades back so much as we are trying to pull them down and tighten the upper arms into the sides as much as you can. Now that you've got tension on the bar, what you want to start off with here is a little bit of leg drive, as if you're doing a leg press and pushing the floor away from you. Once the bar reaches the height around your knees, from here, you simply want to drive your hips forward into the bar to stand tall. Watch that you don't shove your hips too far forward at the top, causing you to lean back, as again, this is going to put excessive strain on your low back. The point of this lift is to try and make the bar path as efficient as possible. More or less, you want it moving up and down in a straight line. Keep pulling the bar against your legs the whole way through the movement, and especially on the way down. Most people lose this tension as they lower the bar again. Think of coming down to complete the lift the same way you got up. You're going to drive your hips back out of the way so the bar can move straight down and it's not going to bounce off of the knees. Now let's have a look at a few deadlift variations that you can use to either swap out if you are experiencing any pain or discomfort in your low back, or as just great accessories to help you get more proficient in this movement. Number one would be a pause deadlift. This is just like your normal deadlift, except when you break the bar off the floor, you're going to hold it in place and pause for a second with it about an inch off the floor. You'll know if you've got this set up wrong because you'll either tip forward and rock onto your toes, or you'll sit backwards and take your toes off of the floor. If you have a poor setup position for a deadlift, you're going to struggle to lock out. This is what the pause deadlift helps correct. Block pulls. These are a great variation to use to help you either add more weight to the bar and get proficient with that hip drive through to the top. Otherwise, it makes a great variation for those experiencing any pain or discomfort in their low back. It reduces the range of motion needed so that you're not putting as much pressure on your spine, and you can focus more so on that tension in the hamstrings and glutes. Romanian deadlifts, or the RDL. This is an awesome variation for those looking for more hypertrophy in the glutes or hamstrings, as it maintains more constant tension throughout the movement. The bar doesn't come down to rest on the floor, meaning that you won't have to restart putting more tension on your posterior chain. A snatch grip deadlift is an awesome option for those that are a little more advanced and want to improve their upper back strength. Simply grip the bar a little wider and focus on squashing your armpits in tighter. You can cue this for yourself by placing each end of your gym towel under your armpits and holding it in place. You know you've failed to maintain tension if either end or both ends of the towel drop out. Last of all is a banded deadlift. This is a variation that's going to help you increase the amount of power and speed that you can put into the movement. Typically, as you stand up further with a deadlift, the movement's going to get easier as you start to stack your joints up. With a band, you're going to be increasing the tension on the bar as you stand further through to the top, forcing you to go faster through the motion to lock out. If you've found these tips and variations helpful, but you're still worried about hurting your low back in a deadlift, just know that load management is going to be the key for this. Load management comes down to a few things, not just the weight on the bar and the total volume that you've used, but also how well slept you are the night before, how hydrated you are, and how much food that you've had to eat in the lead up. These are some of the things that are going to have the biggest effect on whether you injure yourself in this movement on top of your form. If you're still experiencing pain or discomfort, switch to another hip hinge exercise that puts less pressure on the back and allows you to build up that volume and tolerance until you can work pain-free. If you have any other questions about the deadlift or any other exercises in your workouts, let me know below, and I'll be sure to make more content to cover this for you. Thanks for watching.